Yes, 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 we are live. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. If you're like me and you live and breathe reptiles, we're here for the clicks or the viral trends. We're here for the passion. I started this show because I wanted a place for the real keepers and dedicated breeders to finally have a community within Europe where we can sit down, talk shop, share tips and tricks, and basically deep dive into the hobby that we love. We're doing it with one single goal, and that is sharing the passion that drives us. Every week, we're sitting down with some of the biggest names and legends in the game and some of the newest up and coming prospects as well. My name is Roger from Pappy's Premium Pythons, and this is Pappy's Premium Pod. So, Pappy's Premium Pod is sponsored by ProHerper. He is the lead European leader in reptile genetics, specializing in sex identification, genetic verification, and disease testing as well. Join the global hashtag breed different movement right now and enjoy the best there is when it comes to shed testing. Get the best value for your money now. Start testing with ProHerper today to verify your reptiles' genetic potential and maximize your collection's true value. No more guessing heads, no more holding back. It's 2026, people. Get the shed testing. ProHerper is known for their fast turnaround times, high quality tests, and European wide accepted certificates. So, ladies and gentlemen, episode 10. We're here. Can't believe it's been 10 weeks already of this. Tonight, we are sitting down with a man who occupies a truly unique position in our industry. He doesn't just understand what it takes to produce world-class animals, he is one of the responsible guys for moving them across the globe, basically. On one side of the coin, he is a premium UK breeder, a master of the small batch philosophy, and someone who has turned high-end recessive projects into an absolute art form. On the other side, he is part of the engine behind SWR Shipping, the man who navigates the complex web of international logistics to ensure that the elite animals that we love get to their destinations safely. He sees the hobby from the incubator all the way to the export crates and destination, providing a perspective on the business that very few people on earth possess. He is a straight talker, powerhouse breeder, and a logistics legend. Joining us tonight, straight from the UK, help me welcome the man behind um, SWR Shipping and Woolfie Royals. He is the one and only Tom Woolf.
You deserve some credit for that write-up, man. You made me sound a lot better than I am.
No, it's all true, man. Come on. Let's man, let's get into this. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm really well, man. It's been a while since I've been on the screen on the podcast, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. It's quite nice to be this side for once as well, and not have to worry about anything after this.
Hey, as a fan of your work, because you obviously, for those of you who don't know, Tommy also has his the Woolfie Royals, or that Woolfie Royals podcast, which was also a bit of an inspiration for me starting this. Hello, Tom. A big hello.
Hi, Mel. What's going on, Mel? Good to see you guys.
If I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so it's obviously an honor and a great pleasure for me to be hosting you.
I much prefer it this side. It's so much more relaxed, and I don't have to worry about anything once I've done my piece here. You've got all the work to do, so yeah. I love doing podcasts, and I will still do some in the future. I've got a couple of recorded that I need to edit, but my free time at the moment is just non-existent. So they're kind of on the back burner for a little while, and I will get around to it and pursue it again at some point. But in the meantime, I'm gonna let you occupy the space and take over.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and it's true what they say. When you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And yeah, even though sometimes I'm going to bed at like 2 a.m. on a Friday, and then I have to be out at like 8
Yeah.
to get the child to their
Yeah.
sports activities. It still feels good.
Yeah.
I love what I do, and I'm
Yeah, I've
happy.
done some late nights and some crazy
And
shifts of
I'm sure
shipping and things. It
it's
takes a
funny when
toll. And
you
like, I'm getting old now. I'm starting to feel it that it's affecting me now. Like I came home from work the other day and I had to have a nap. Like that's the beginning of the end for me. Like I'm done from that point.
Man, age is a state of mind. I mean, I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, and I was like, I'm 34, coming 34. And I basically can't even go to the shop to buy bread without driving. I have to get the car. It's like a 5-minute walk, not even. And my father-in-law, who's like, I don't know, 69 or something, 70, he still plays football on a Saturday with his friends.
Wow.
What the? And,
I gave that up years ago. That was too much hard work.
It's like, how? I mean, he's all cheerful. He dresses up like the kids these days, with the skinny jeans, and he got his ears pierced. It's just like,
wow,
he's so young at heart.
What a guy.
How? I look at him and I'm like, how?
If I'm half as active as that at his age, I'll be quite happy.
It's insane. I tried to play football like 3 years ago now, and I had an accident, twisted my ankle, and I haven't done any form of exercise since.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. Getting old is no fun. I've got a couple of years on the year. I'm 37 this year, but yeah, I mean, we're around the same age. But this year is the first year I've actually felt really tired. Like I can function on very little sleep. I'm used to functioning on like 4 or 5 hours, just getting stuff done, fitting things in. But yeah, this year is the year I've really started to feel like I'm closer to retirement than I should be.
Come on, you haven't hit your 40s yet, even, have you?
Yeah, don't remind me. It's only going to go downhill from here.
I, in my opinion, what it is just the parent life.
Oh yeah,
it takes a lot. I feel it like it drains me so much. Obviously, not talking bad about my kids or anything, because you love your kids and stuff like that. But the dad life really like sucks up most of your time with all the going here and there, especially when you have kids doing sports activities and after school activities, and you're running around from one place to the other, and it can be a lot
for sure.
But anyway, are you doing the reptile business full time, or do you still have a job?
No, I still work my 9 to 5. I'm involved in the dog industry, so early mornings for me, which is a gift and a curse. I'm up early, I'm out the door early, I get home at a nice time where I can still get things done during the day if I need to. But the reptile is still a side business for me. I'm relatively small in my collection. I'm nowhere near some of the numbers that people are pushing out, and I'm keeping it pretty slim. And I'm probably going to streamline it a little bit more this year and just really develop some projects that I really want to work with, rather than trying to do a little bit of everything at the moment. And then of course the shipping on top as well, which is it started from nothing and turned into a bit of a whirlwind. So that takes up a hell of a lot of time as well.
Yeah, I would actually love to get into this. Maybe start there. Like what's the whole story behind SWR Shipping?
So SWR Shipping was all built out of COVID essentially. So I bought some animals from Canada, and this was pre-Brexit, pre-COVID. I'm assuming as well, given the timeline, and the general route for shipping back then, if you was buying from Canada, was it would all go into Europe, into DDI, and then we would go and get it from DDI, or we would ship it from DDI, whatever we needed to do. pre-Brexit, obviously freedom of movement, freedom of trade, etc. There was no CITES permits required, no health certificates, etc. Blah blah blah. So it was a relatively straightforward procedure that just involved going to the ham show, picking up, etc. COVID hit, Brexit hit, and all of a sudden that then became a lot more difficult. So shipping to from Canada to Europe never changed, but then from Europe to the UK, it then required export permits, import permits, etc., etc., etc. The process itself isn't terribly difficult if you know what you're doing and you're using the right people, but of course, with that, it always brings costs. So I had these animals from Canada, and I had no idea, absolutely zero clue as to how to get the ball rolling and get this started and get these animals over. So I spoke to a few people, and people said to me, the only guy I know that's done sighted shipments and has regularly done sighted shipments is a guy named Scott. Reach out to him, he might be able to help you. Now, if anyone has ever dealt with Scott, you will know that he is absolutely terrible at ever responding to you. So I messaged Scott a few times, never got any answer, and then one day gave him a call and was like, I need some help with this. What do you think we can do? How do we do it? What do we need? He went through the procedure, said, right, we need CITES, imports, exports, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, that sounds great. How do I do that? Like, what CITES permit sounds great, but where do I get these? What do I do? And he was like, oh, I can do the CITES permits for you. That's fine. Just let me know what you need to get, etc. And we'll get it sorted and we'll start from there. So that's sort of how my relationship with Scott began to start, and it built up from there. And people got wind that I started to bring these animals in from Europe, and it was like, oh, actually, I'm in the same situation as you. I've had animals stuck in Europe that I can't get. Is there any chance that you could bring mine back? And it sort of snowballed from there. And it originally was going to be, one shipment in, cover the cost, split the cost between, if there was 20 animals involved, divide the shipping cost by 20 animals, get everything in, and that would be it, and one and done sort of thing. And then it sort of developed, and people said, hey, I've bought some animals from Germany or Holland or Czech Republic or wherever. Can you ship them in for me? And I was like, well, we can do, but there's going to be cost involved. It's not cheap, but air freight is crazy, crazy through the roof. And people are like, yeah, that's fine. I really need to get these animals. There's no other way. So it kind of started from there. We ran the business for this kind of on the side as a hobby for maybe a year and a half. And it was like, well, this is starting to gain momentum, and maybe we should look at actually advertising this as a service and potentially, making something of it and seeing where we can go from there. And then people say, hey, can you, we originally only ever started with Europe. That was all we were doing. And then I had some people say, hey, can you ship from US? Can you get animals from here, there? And Scott's been around years and years and years. Say that again?
Was it all just UK based, like people?
Yeah, pretty much. It all started with UK based people that were looking to either import or export from the UK. And it all just started from that one shipment, really. And then Scott's obviously been around in the hobby for 30, 40 years, maybe more. He started when he was a kid, and he's ancient now, so he's getting on there a bit. He won't mind me saying, he knows, but he'll never remember anyway. So
so you guys are tight anyway. You can get away with it.
Absolutely no problem at all. So yeah, all kind of started from there, and obviously Scott's had a big contact list. He's built up relationships and sort of working relationships around the globe. So we then sort of pulled on some of those contacts and said, hey, we're looking at doing some shipments from the US. Is there any way you can help us get this started? And we deal with some of we only deal with the best people around the globe to do this. So in the US, we deal with a guy named Michael Carl, who is the granddaddy of shipping animals around the world. He's probably one of the largest exporters of animals in the US. And if you know Michael, and if you ever dealt with Michael, he's a straight talker. He's to the point. It can come across a little blunt at times. And I remember we was organising the first shipment for maybe a year, and I think Michael was starting to get pissed off with me. And I was like, hey, it's going to happen. This is what we need. And all of a sudden, it was all systems go. We got that first shipment in from the US, and it just snowballed from there. Everything went crazy, and then we ended up doing like 2 or 3 shipments from the US every year. We're shipping out 2 or 3 times to the US. Europe kind of followed suit as well, and it was shipping every ham show and bringing back every other ham, shipping out to Europe every other ham show. So yeah, it's built up and it's gained traction, and it's hopefully we built a great reputation of getting the job done.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't heard nothing but good things about you guys and SWR Shipping, especially especially when you compare with DDI, and the amount of complaints that I've heard about that service is insane, to be honest. But
I mean, DDI are huge. I mean, we move a fair amount of animals, and we ship regularly to DDI to and from the UK, and we've always had a really good experience with DDI, and we've always had we've always had a really good relationship with Xander and the team there. So I think once people realise what's involved in doing it, like a lot of people just see it as moving animals from A to B, but there's so many moving parts and moving cogs in the middle that people don't quite, volume wise, they're huge. They're moving massive numbers of animals around the globe, and we might do 2 or 3 shipments from Europe every show. They're doing 28, 30, 40 shipments to Thailand, Korea, UK, USA, and it's like there's so many moving parts. There's so many people who need to be paid. And it is, as bad as it sounds, when you're working with livestock, anything can happen. And the more and more numbers you move, the more and more issues you're likely to encounter, probably.
Yeah, that's true. To be honest, I had Guillaume from Caparan Reptiles here last week, and he was also talking about what it takes to ship and stuff, and the fees and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I had no idea.
It's huge money.
Ignorance is bliss.
It's very difficult, especially when we're in a time like we are now, where everyone's a little bit tight for money. No one's really got a huge amount of expendable income because everything is so high, especially in the UK. Sort of bills and the cost of living is crazy. But for example, BA, who are one of the main couriers, main carriers of animals and live reptiles from Heathrow into USA or Europe, wherever you're going, their fees went up 15% in March. And that's got to be covered somewhere. So it's tricky. People see it as it's just a really simple, straightforward thing, but there's so many moving parts involved. There's so much time involved, and there's so much cost involved as well. We get animals that are badly packaged, so we've got to repackage them. They're incorrectly packaged. Either the tub's too small for the animals, that the airline have certain regulations that they have to deal with, so we have to repackage, rebag. We could get animals a week or 2 weeks before we ship, so everything's got to be fed, watered, heated, cleaned out, because the likelihood is that they're gonna make a mess of the tub that they're in. So there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and people don't see that as such, and they think it's a really straightforward process, and it is in a way, but that straightforward process is built up of so many different stages along that path to make it a streamlined procedure.
That was kind of that's kind of going into my next question, because I was going to ask you if you know or you don't know what's going in these crates, but we noticed.
I know everything that's going in the crates.
Okay. So have you noticed like a specific gene that's moving more than another? Like, what's your take on that thing? So I want to know what the next big thing is,
It's interesting. It does change. So, I mean, when we first started, a lot of the movement was clown. You'd see heavy on the clown stuff. Codoms, you'd see things like Stranger was moving quite a lot. It might be like Stranger clown het hypos, Stranger hypo het clowns, etc. Things like that. And then you're starting to see things like puzzle that are creeping in now, more and more people creeping into puzzle. And then you're getting those sort of really one-off high-end genes where you get all into the double recessives or triple recessives, where you're looking like Axanthic DG clowns that are moving, or you're looking at hypo puzzle DGs, tornado, cosmos, genes like that are starting to, people are starting to buy into them now, either whether across the pond in the US or over in Europe and things like that. So there is movement of most stuff, and sometimes it's not even expensive stuff that's moving. People have just see an animal they really like, and that's the one they've got their heart set on, and that's the animal they want to bring in.
Yeah. Okay. So that kind of because you're talking about like some expensive tickets right there.
Yeah.
Like exactly DG clowns, doubles and triple recessives and cosmos and stuff like that. So the market's not dead.
The market is far from dead. The market is absolutely fine. The issue is that people don't have the expendable income that they used to have.
Yeah.
The market itself is, yes, it's lower than what people are used to and probably what people would like. But from a point of animals moving, the market is still pretty active. We've got a shipment going out to the US Monday. We've got one going out to Europe Tuesday. We're going to have a Canada import coming in just after or just towards the end of March. We've got a USA shipment coming in. We've got a European shipment coming in after ham. So the market is moving. There is still animals being purchased. The value of those animals might not be as high as it previously was, but this isn't just a time where the people aren't just buying snakes. People are giving up and sacrificing a lot more than just that. It's buying a snake is a difference between maybe feeding their family for an extra month or two, and until that changes.
The combos are a lot cheaper now than they would have been before anyway. So that will sort of play a factor in that as well. So you mentioned like you described yourself as being like a small breeder, like small collection breeder, like amounts. Do you think that's an advantage compared to other guys that have huge collections? With the way the market is nowadays, because obviously people aren't buying so much, they're more like focusing their money on specific projects and stuff. Do you think that's an advantage?
I think it all depends on what you're hoping to achieve from it and what your end goal really is. If Scott always said to me a fantastic quote. Scott's got a pretty sizable collection, and one of the first times I was meeting him, it was around there. He said, at the end of the day, we've all got the same size collection, and we've got a collection that we can afford and a collection that we can maintain. Whether your limit is 15 animals and that's what you can afford and to maintain and keep, or whether that's 1,000 animals and that's what you can afford to maintain and keep healthy, etc. They're the two things that really matter. Can you afford it? Can you maintain it? The size of it is irrelevant. The size of it only comes down to what you actually want to achieve. People with those big collections, if they are set up right and they have access to wholesale distribution and they have access to worldwide export, works perfectly, because there's always going to be someone who wants to buy albino pied, blue-eyed leucistic, things like that. And if you have a choice of making 10, 15,000 pound animals and able to find 10 buyers for them, or you could make 150, $100 animals every single season and sell them and make your money, it's a no-brainer. Because those things will always sell at shows, they'll always sell at pet shops, they'll always sell between people who are just getting into the hobby. Everyone I see kind of tailors around the smaller, higher quality sort of animals that they want to produce, higher end animals, less of them, sell them for higher ticket prices, which is fine, absolutely works. But there's so much involved in selling higher cost animals. One, you've got to have a fantastic reputation, because people aren't just going to spend money with someone that's been in it maybe a year or so, hasn't really built the reputation or the contacts. But no one would bat an eyelid at spending $150 or £150 from someone on Morph Market for an animal they like. And if you could sell those animals frequently, and that was covering the cost of maintaining your collection, putting a bit of money in your pocket to take the family away on holiday, etc., then there's pros and cons to both.
Both sides, yeah. Like
the
everything.
bad side of having a small collection is, if you're limited on space and limited on time, then you can't work with everything that you want to work with ultimately. And you do have to, say, hey, right, this is the route I want to go down. I want to work these 3 or 4 genes, and this is how I'm going to push it, and this is what I'm going to work with. And you become very selective of what you're doing. And you may get lucky. You may hit a point where you produce some fantastic animals, double recessive, triple recessives, etc., and you do find someone that wants to buy them. But the chances are that if people are buying triple recessives, there's already 20, 30, 40, 50 breeders worldwide that are way producing them before you are.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Changing the subject a little bit, like more into ball pythons specifically. How did you get into ball pythons? When did you find
I'd always had an interest in reptiles. Ever since I was a kid, I'd always, we lived right by a train track. There was always grass snakes and things up on the bank and stuff. So we'd always try and go catch them and things in the summer when they were out basking. But I didn't really pay much attention. It's just something fun and dumb to do when you was a kid, essentially. But I'd always had an interest in reptiles and animals in general, really. I used to love watching, Nigel Marvin, Steve Irwin, Attenborough on the TV when I was younger. It was always fascinating to me and interesting. And I never owned a reptile until I was, maybe 17, 18, something like that. And I bought a few corn snakes. I had 2 friends that managed a reptile shop, one of my local reptile shops, and went in there and I was just fascinated. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get one. My mum wouldn't let me keep them in the house. So what I actually did was decided they were a present for my now wife, and I kept them at her house. Win-win.
Yeah, of course.
And it just kind of started from there. And I had the 2 corn snakes, had those for years and years and years before I even bought anything else. I'd still go in the shop and speak to my friends and have a look around, and sort of paid an interest, but I wasn't really looking to buy anything else. And then I was off work one winter. I dislocated my shoulder, so I was sitting at home healing, and I just ended up stumbled across some YouTube videos of Brian Barczyk, back in like the animal bites and snake bites TV days.
Yeah.
And it was heavily centered and heavily invested into raw pythons, and I was like, hey, these look pretty cool. This is fun, and I just fell into a rabbit hole of watching hours and hours and hours of YouTube. A couple of weeks later, I had to go buy some frozen rodents for the corn snakes. And while I was in there was loads of hatchling raw pythons. And the first one I ever bought was a Mojave female, and it cost me £40. And I've still got her today. She's still in the snake room now. Never bred her, never had a clutch from her, but that was the one that started it all. And from there, it's just like, hey, there's these banana combos, and there's pieds, and there's this, and there's that. And one turned into 4 turned into 20 turned into 50, 60, 80. And it just kind of went from there, really.
And so just to try and sort of grasp on the timeline. So what year was this that you came across then, Brian Barczyk?
I would say it was probably, it was just before, my wife was pregnant at the time, I think. So that would be, my oldest is 9 this year. So it'll be about 10 years ago now.
Yeah, 2016 or so.
Yeah.
So then from there till, okay, I'm going to decide to become a breeder. What's the timeline like?
12 months, 18 months, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I kept a few. I had four or five animals in 2-foot bibs, and they were only small at the time. And my aim was always like the one that fascinated me was banana pieds. That was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen when I first got into ball pythons. I ended up buying a pied female, and I bought a banana het pied male. And my goal was just to make banana pieds. That was it. Yeah. And then just sort of joined a few online Facebook groups and things like that. And from there, it was like, oh, this is up for sale. This is really nice. This is pretty cheap. Maybe I should buy this. and it inevitably came back to bite me on the arse. I bought some animals that were covered in mites. I bought animals that were probably never fed and died within like 3 days and things. And when something seemed to be cheap, it usually because there was a case of something wasn't right attached to it. But from there, it's kind of built up from there. And banana pieds, I ended up producing banana pieds. It's like, right, what can I produce next? Yeah, what can I go for next? There was never an end goal in sight for me, apart from the very, very short term of let's breed X and Y and make Z, and that was it. So after that, I ended up breeding for blue-eyed Lucies. Was the next thing I wanted to breed for. Produced a load of those with some animals that I had. And that was kind of my justification behind buying the animals at the time was, hey, well, I want to produce this. I can buy this now, and in 2 years I can produce these. That'd be cool. It'd be a nice bit of pocket money for me on the side. So there was never really any intention of going into it, and the scale, the size of it that I am now. And I don't think I ever really wanted to at some point. It just kind of happened.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. It's a bit similar story for me, but it took me a lot less time to decide, no, wait, I'm going to be a breeder. So I had originally bought, it was supposed to be a blue-eyed leucistic. So I went to this guy's house and I saw he had a bunch of them. And I picked them up and I was like, oh, yeah, such cool blue eyes. And then I think he had like 4 or 5. And he's like, yeah, just pick whatever one you want and take it. And I was like, I looked around, like I just grabbed one and I took it. And I got home, it went in the shed, it shed black-eyed Lucy.
Oh, no.
I'm like, wait, hold on. I messaged the guy and he said, I messaged her before just as she was going in the shed. And I messaged the guy and he's like, it's probably just a shed thing. Just wait till she sheds and then you'll see. And then she shed. It was pure black eyes. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she's got black eyes, whatever. And it's like, oh, maybe just give it a couple of days or whatever. And I was like, yeah, she's got black eyes. This is not.
Yeah, they're not changing.
The guy was like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I didn't produce any black-eyed leucistics. There's no pairings or whatever. He was a bit baffled as well. But like I had the snake now for like a month and a half, and he's like, do you know what? Just come back here, bring it back, and you take another one, and we're good. And I was like, well, I can't now. She's part of the family. I can't just give it up.
Just give her back.
I'm just gonna keep her. And then from there, I had a whole Instagram page for I call her Lucy, obviously, standard, Lucy ball python, whatever. And this was in around October-ish. And then by March, I had already purchased a banana Mojave because I was going to buy another Mojave to make Bell, basically. Yeah. So in the space of I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I was like, yes, I'm going to become a breeder. And that's pretty much the default of world of ball pythons. I found world and the genetic calculator, and that was it.
I mean, I used to spend, once I decided I was going to breed animals and things, the amount of time I would spend on world of ball pythons and just scrolling through pictures and clicking them and saying, right, what would this make if I bred it with this? And that was kind of how I purchased animals. It was based on what they looked like in those pictures and what I could make and see what was there. And I don't really know. I don't really know when it sort of turned for me, when I was like, okay, well, actually, I'm going to be more selective of what I buy and sort of really think about it a little bit more. But there was obviously a point where I was like, hey, let's kind of take it a bit more seriously. Maybe don't buy 5 300-pound animals. Let's go and buy maybe a 1,200 or 1,500-pound animal and see what we can do with it going forward.
It took me about a year of purchasing these 200 300 euro snakes that's basically just sit there in my racks nowadays. But at the same time, I can't really bring myself to give them up. I mean, I've still got some of my original ones. These are some of the mistakes I made because I was like, I had bought all those snakes that I wanted to breed, But then I was like, yeah, I want to breed now. And these snakes are like, I don't know, 6-7 months old. So how can I do it now? I'm just gonna go and buy an adult. I'm just gonna buy a couple adults, and But lessons learned. It is what it is.
We live and learn. But it's all fun. It's all part of the experience as well. I think if you're getting into it from a perspective where we did, and it's not a business mentality at the start, then I think it's probably similar for every single person.
Someone from Andy. I started with €100 snakes because I was poor. Yep.
Yeah, he's up to €120 now per snake, so he's doing pretty well for himself.
Take that, Andy.
And he's a doctor. You're never poor, Andy. You're a doctor.
I know, right? This guy. Okay, so question: what is the most expensive lesson you've learned? Since we were talking about prices and stuff and mistakes.
Probably quarantining. I bought some animals in before that were they looked okay on the outside, but they were covered in mites and things when I bought them, and never quarantined anything, and it spread through pretty quickly, and it becomes an expensive, and it becomes a very, very tedious job. Like quarantine is, especially now with the amount of animals that are moving, and I see them move, and being a bit more savvy and a bit more aware on like biosecurity for me is probably like the big thing. Like I bought in a few adults when I first started breeding, and they looked fine and stuff. I didn't really know what I was looking for, to be perfectly honest. I was still pretty wet behind the ears, but it was soon pretty evident that after sort of 3 or 4 days where I put them in the room with the other snakes, that everything was covered in mites, and I didn't know what I was doing, how to get rid of it. I tried all the sorts of stuff like Callingtons at the time, and nothing ever worked. And it was only then that I discovered like Frontline would work and things like that. So I mean, it soon adds up in cost. I've never had anything that's that serious, to be honest. I've had mites. I've never really had anything with RI, or I've never seen any cases of NIDA or anything like that in my own collection. I've had stuff that's just randomly dropped dead in the past. I bought a GHI pastel lesser het clown when they were, I think I paid something like $800 or £800 for it. Bred it, and it was a decent sized animal. It was say 700, 800 grams. Bred it with a spider clown female. I bred it with back in the day. Crazy pairing, right? I know. Slow down. And bred that, and then put it back, locked up, put it back in its tub, water, fed, went back in the next 2 days later, and it was just in the tub upside down, randomly dead. And back then it was a massive kick in the teeth, and I didn't really know what to do. Was it a failing that I had? Was it something that I'd done? Was it dodgy?
Did he ever sire that clutch?
Nope, she never went on to go.
Okay.
It was 2 locks she had, and I ended up using a backup male, and it was the backup male that got the job done. And they were pastel Enchi clown het DGs was what I ended up producing from them.
You have no shed testing there. You have to grow up the babies, right?
Yeah, I used a visual DG, and it was post het clown at the time, and I ended up getting lucky.
You proved it up. Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up hitting clown, so I knew I was in there for that as well. So, but yeah, I mean that was by chance. It was just pot luck, really.
Speaking of shed testing, let me take a quick sponsor break to shout out our sponsor, ProHerbert. Yeah, he's now introducing Fast Track Genetics. You order your tests online at proherper.com. Hand over your samples at the Ham Show, which will be next weekend. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the
Saturday.
14th. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Hand over your samples Saturday at the ham show, and by Sunday evening you'll have your results. This is like, I always say this, Amazon next day delivery for shed testing. Yeah, check it out, guys. He's got a ton of morph tests for ball pythons. He's got sex determination tests for corn snakes, and a couple of morphs as well. All tests have now been reduced in price if you've been watching online. So for 35 euros, you can test between 1 and 9 animals. For 30 euros per test, between 10 and 49 animals. And if you're testing more than 50 animals, that's 25 euros per test. An additional tests on the same animal is only an extra 20 euros. So order your tests at proherper.com, a company that's trusted by more than 1,000 breeders all over the world. Any shed that arrives normally by Wednesday will get their results by Friday the same week. And pretty good value there with the lower prices nowadays. Pappy's Premium Pod is sponsored by ProHerper, and we appreciate them backing the pod. Back to it.
Read like a true professional.
I try. I need to memorize it to make it more natural. It's so awkward.
just missing the trick. Just record it and then just.
That's good thinking.
Just slot it in. You don't have to do it. You can click the button to play it, and it does it automatically for you.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
I've done this a time or two. Don't worry.
Hey, speaking from the experience, right? Okay, so let's get into. Oh no, I have a question first. So I've asked you, we spoke about the market and whatever. Your opinion is obviously it's not dead, and you would know because you're moving animals everywhere. But we talked about coming into the hobby and making mistakes and stuff. But what's the biggest lie that someone would tell themselves when they start, investing in high-end ball pythons?
Probably that they're going to make money. You're not straight away.
Yeah.
And it kind of alludes to the point that I said when I mentioned it earlier about people are going to be reluctant to spend that money with someone that's fresh into the market, that's doesn't have the background or the experience or the knowledge base perhaps of people that have been doing it for 10, 15 years or longer. And I find with one of the other things, if you're going high end, is you're competing with people who don't struggle to sell animals at the high end value. Yeah. When you start going into the high end market and you're dealing with the likes of your double visuals and your triple visuals that are still relatively carrying a relatively high price and still fetching five figures for the animals, you're dealing with people that I've produced these for a number of years. They've got breeding stock of them. They're continuing to build upon that already, and they're trusted at what they do. If I was going to make DG Axanthic clowns, I've got to look around at who is already selling or sold Axanthic DG clowns, and why is somebody who wants to buy one going to come to me over those guys? Yeah. And how do I justify that that's the right choice for them? And how do they justify it's the right choice for them as well? Because let's say I'm producing those Axanthic DG clowns, Justin's going to have 10, 15 for sale potentially. Bob Foo's going to have some for sale. You're going to have, potentially Aussie's going to have some for sale and things like that. So these are big industry-wide names that everyone recognizes, everyone knows, everyone trusts, and they have the ability to rectify things if something does go wrong. If you was to buy an animal and it's, if I sold you an Axanthic DG clown and I told you it's a female and you get it as a male, what can I do? I'm gonna lose out on the sale. I'm gonna have to give stuff back. I'm gonna have to refund, etc. And there's a chance that if I bought that, I'm potentially I'm not going to want to take a refund. I'm going to take a come out of the way, baby. I'm not going to want to take a. I'm not going to take a different animal that I don't want or something. So I'm probably going to take a refund and go to one of the other guys anyway. Come on, out. Don't have them. So these people have got experience, they've got knowledge, and they've got resources, which is huge.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah, that's a good point there about making
That's not
things
to
right.
say that there isn't money to be made from these these animals, because there absolutely is. There is massive money to be made, but you've got if you're going to make money, you've got to continually progress forward to make it. Because at some point, the higher end animals you sell, it won't take long for people to overtake you, and to start occupying that space that you want to operate in. So you've constantly got to be pushing forward. You've got to be developing that collection more. You potentially got to be spending more money to continue that as well, and you've got to be pushing the limit of what you can do and thinking outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Tell me this: what's the biggest downside of the European market compared to the US market? So
I think they're two completely different markets that intertwine pretty well. The USA, I've always found, is lighter on taxes. It's not as heavy and it's not as hard on the breeders and the buyers. That's not to say that they're not paying any taxes. I'm sure they are, but expendable income seems to be higher in the US for me. People are more happy to spend the money and pursue it and try and make the money. And I think that their economy and their sort of capitalist mindset allows them to do that, but a bit more. You just have to look at the amount of registered, licensed breeders or whatever doing this full time as a limited company, etc. in the US, compared to those that are doing it in the UK, Europe, etc. That doesn't seem that we're, particularly in Europe and the UK, that we're really harbouring the desire and the dream of people to really push it forward. We'd rather be like, hey, they're just you carry on paying your tax and don't worry about making money and paying more tax for it, sort of thing. So I think maybe if things were a bit more legitimate and everything was it wasn't looked upon as such a sort of a negative thing from the outside, then maybe there would be changes. But certainly the US seems to be more geared up to, hey, let's go and spend some money and make something of this and see what we can do as compared to the US, to EU and UK.
So it's economy basically. Yeah.
I mean, look, the American economy isn't fantastic. I shouldn't imagine. I should imagine that they're also struggling and they're having issues as well. But it just seems that they're a lot more geared up to make money and allowing people to make money than we are.
Yeah.
I've just got to let the dog out. 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Let me move this. 2 secs. Come, dog. Come out. Go. There we go.
Very cool. What kind of dog was that?
She's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
Nice.
She's an old girl now. She's been around for 13 years, I think.
I was expecting you to say English Bulldog or something.
No, she's a Staffy. I've had her for a good few years now, bless her.
Yeah, I love Staffies, but my wife won't let me have one.
She's fantastic. She's been.
I've met plenty.
Brilliant with the kids. Even when the kids are babies, she would just lay in the bed with them. They'd sleep on her. They'd lean up her. The youngest does now. The youngest is 3. She pulls her ears. She strokes her. She pulls her tail. She doesn't care. She just lays there.
Yeah. I have a Labrador, and whenever we got him, we girl was just about one and a bit, and man, that dog got some abuse growing up. So nowadays, intolerant to anything, or not intolerant, but tolerant to anything.
Yeah, she's good as gold. She's getting old now, so she spends most of her day sleeping. But No, she's a cool dog. She's been around for a good few years, so hopefully a few more to go.
Yeah. I have a couple more questions just on this, on the shipping side of things before we dive more into snakes. But
sure.
From your point of view, what's the biggest mistake that you see breeders making when they try to move animals internationally?
Probably number one is expectant costs. I don't think people understand truly the cost of what it takes to move animals from UK to US, EU to UK, UK to EU. If you're doing things properly and you're following the law and everything's by the book, then unfortunately it does come with a pretty high cost. And what I see some people do, which is probably the best way to do it, I find if they're selling expensive animals, is just deal with the shipping yourself. Deal with the shipping yourself, include it in the price of the sale, and don't worry about it. So I used to get a little bit of I used to get my back up a bit. I'd get some people messaging me, "Oh, the shipping's too expensive, blah blah blah. This person's doing it for £150. Cool." I used to argue it. I used to try and justify it until I was blue in the face. 2 years ago. And now I just go, cool, go use them then. Because eventually what happened is, and what has happened, it's quite evident now, is there was a few companies that when we started that were running it, and they were pushing the fact that they were cheaper as their main priority. And we're cheaper than those guys. They're charging too much money. They're robbing you. They're making so much money. The reality is we wasn't. We were faced with heavy costs. We still are faced with heavy costs. And that's just something you can't avoid. The airlines aren't going to change their prices for me because I'm sending out raw pythons and some corn snakes and stuff. So, just being aware that it is going to cost. The process isn't simple. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of logistical movement involved. And with all of these moving parts, everyone wants to get paid along the line somewhere. The airline want to get paid. The shipping broker wants to get paid. The receiver wants to get paid. The vet certificates, the vet wants to get paid. All these things cost. And some people that are selling the higher end animals, or animals over say like €1,500 or €2,000, they'll just say, "I'll deal with the shipping. You just buy the animal. You pay the cost. I'll take the hit from the shipping." What a lot of people do is they'll discount the animal, and then they'll be like, "Oh well, you've got to sort shipping out yourself." And then the seller passes them to me. They come to us and say, "Oh, how much is shipping?" You tell them, "Oh, it's more than the animal." It's like, well, I can't change the price. The service doesn't change depending on the price of the animal. But what you pay for is what you get. That's the fairest way we can do it. Is everyone pays the same price, everyone gets the same service. And there was a few companies around when we first started that would advertise cheaper, and I was like, you know what, let's just stick to our guns. Let's just pride ourselves on the service we offer. Let's make sure that stuff gets from A to B with as little input from the buyer and the seller as possible. We arrange everything in the middle. We just have to get details of what's going where, who it's going to, and we'll do the rest. And as long as we get animals there safely and they're healthy on arrival, and people get them in the time frame they're expecting, we've done the best we can. And eventually these companies that are doing it cheaper just stopped doing it because either their cost became too high for the price that they were charging, and it was almost impossible to put prices up, because once you've gotten used to a price and that you've set yourself, it's not very easy to say to someone, actually we need some more money from you to make this work. You can lower the price pretty easy, but you can never put it back up again. But there's and it's always a catch-22 as well. So always say to people now is, what do you want? Do you want cheap shipping, where we can do cheap shipping, but it will be reliant on enough animals being there to cover the cost of the shipment? That could mean the shipment goes out in 3 weeks. It could mean the shipment goes out in 9 months. Or do you want a price where if we get 10 customers that want to buy animals, we can guarantee that shipment leaves for the next ham show, or for the next Houghton show, or for the next Tinley show? So what do you want? Do you want fast shipping or do you want cheap shipping? Because the two don't go hand in hand. You can't have both.
Yeah, and that's a worldwide problem for
it is,
everything.
Yeah, if you want something quick, you end up paying for it essentially.
Yeah, exactly. What's the most challenging country to ship to?
There's quite a few challenging ones. So places like Israel require, and Dubai, for example, require really specific health certificates. So every animal needs a salmonella test within, I think it's 48 hours of departure. So that can be tricky. Obviously, salmonella tests aren't cheap. And if you're sending a bucket load of animals over, then salmonella testing each and every one of those animals and getting results back within 48 hours to be able to export them is pretty challenging. Everywhere else is, there is challenges with everything, so every country has their different own live animal regulations for shipping and things, and how they want things packaged and what they will and won't carry, and layover times, or just anything. But the main ones like USA, Europe, Canada, they're all relatively straightforward with what they'll allow and what they require.
There's
nothing too crazy with that.
Yeah,
and they're the three markets we really deal with. Europe, USA, Canada. That's probably the majority of ball pythons, really.
Yeah,
and other species as well.
You mentioned Israel and Dubai, and I was like, we're shipping snakes there as well.
Yeah, so Israel has literally only just been allowed to start shipping animals within the last year or so. It can be challenging. We had some inquiries from Israel before. I've had some inquiries from Dubai as well. Dubai's got quite a big reptile trade as well. And of course, there's other, you've got the Asian countries like Korea, Thailand. Those places are up and coming, and they've bought animals from all over the world as well. So I think their export regulations are slightly stricter than what ours are. I don't know if they can export animals that easy, but we can certainly import into them.
Yeah. Do you guys ship every kind of animal, or are you just focusing more on snakes?
We ship anything that we can legally ship and someone can legally import.
Yeah.
As long as we can get paperwork and we can provide proof, if their site is involved in things, we can provide proof of lineage and parentage, etc. Certain species are just almost impossible to ship because of the restrictions put on them by the host country. So you'll start seeing that more and more now with things like Australian species. Australia's really tightened down on the animals that they will allow countries to import, especially when it comes down to CITES animals, because it will all boil down to Australia have basically said that their export is pretty much nil. They don't allow anything that's homegrown to be exported. So when people start selling, for example, any Australian CITES species, it's like, well, where did it originate from? And if Australia have no record of it ever being exported out of the country, that export was illegal. And then they won't allow the trade of that between other countries. And there is certain species that they have allowed the trade of. They have allowed the trade of carpet pythons, for example. So getting permits for carpet pythons, no problem. They're absolutely fine. They have allowed things like bearded dragons, obviously not CITES. They've been allowed to leave, absolutely fine, no problem at all. Most non-CITES species are generally okay because they can't ever prove that they haven't left the country legally. But anything that's CITES and it's got historical paperwork, they can always check back and say, no, we've never approved any CITES permits for export from Australia for this species. So that animal has left because it's been illegally traded and smuggled somewhere.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I had also heard that there was a lot of animals that people were bringing into the US from Australia that now you're just not allowed. They basically just shut the doors.
Yeah, it happens. We had some amphibians to send over we had some frogs to send over to the US, and I wasn't aware of any restrictions on them, and US Fish and Wildlife said that they wouldn't import one particular species because they were Australian. And they weren't even CITES animals, but they had no recollection of them ever being exported from Australia. So not allowed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's dive more into snakes. I'm trying to be conscious of time. We've
All
already
right,
hit
man.
the
I'm fine, man. You got all even. Don't worry.
Cool. Let me see. So I noticed you're working a lot of DG and puzzle now. You're focusing quite a bit on that. What is your favorite recessive?
Probably still is DG. It probably
DG.
still is DG. Yeah. I've always had an affinity with DG. I bought my first DG female. I bought her around a kilo. She was imported from the Bells originally, and I bought her from a guy in the UK. She was around a kilo, never been bred. And when I purchased her, no one wanted to work with DG, and I think I paid £250 for her.
Nice.
And it was an absolute steal. She literally got sold this year, so I had her for, I think I had her close to 8 years. And she produced the majority of my DG stuff in the early days. Some of my most valuable pairings as such for myself, but also for sales as well, because DG was so heavily untapped and sort of ignored for so long.
Yeah.
That I ended up buying that female, and I ended up buying a male, Inchy Spot Nose Het DG from Marcello at Exclusive Snakes. Probably maybe 6 months after I bought the female, I made some Inchy Spot Nose DGs. And then DG kind of erupted because I think Justin done a video on YouTube about DG and the power of DG, and people started to realize that the power that it had and what it could do in combos.
Yeah.
And it kind of just picked up from there. So yeah, DG is probably still my favorite. I never get bored of looking at DG animals. I've never seen a DG animal look worse because it's got DG. You take a simple pastel, put DG in it. Pastel DGs are stunning. Yep. You take a clown, you put pastel in it, it goes brown.
Yeah.
You take you can take anything and add DG, and it doesn't ever look worse.
Yeah.
It's never. I've never had someone say, "Hey, that would look really nice if it didn't have DG."
Yeah, DG is a good one.
But it's behind there. I like hypo. I never used to be a huge fan of hypo. So I bought into hypo. I bought into puzzle. I've got some tri-stripe stuff, the DG tri-stripe stuff as well.
Nice.
But Azanthic is another one that's kind of growing on me again. Azanthic and DG, match made in heaven. Azanthic was dead in the water for years and years and years, and no one wanted to work with it. And then all of a sudden, the Azanthic DG come along, and all of a sudden, the Azanthics flew through the roof.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, now we found what DG does with Azanthic and what Azanthic needs. Now we can start to build upon the Azanthic base a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, it just takes that one guy to hit that one combo. Or not. Well, when I say one guy, I mean there's a specific set of guys that if they hit a certain combo and share it, then yeah, that morph goes crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you've only got to look at the impact that, say, Justin had with Spot Nose when he produced the Batmans. Spot Nose was £150, maybe less in the UK when that video dropped, and then overnight Spot Nose, Het Clown, and just Spot Nose females went to £1,200, £1,500 just for Spot Nose Het Clowns. They went from dead in the water, no one wanted to buy them, a discarded gene, to being the base and the staple of clown combos for years and years and years.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, when Jesse hits something, like you look at Red Stripe, nobody cared for Red Stripe, and then he starts working that Pompeii stuff, and it is. What about non-recessive then?
Non-recessive, for me, probably Spot Nose. I think Spot Nose works in so many combos. Just busying up that pattern and really working well with, Spot Nose works in your allelic genes like your chocolate and your cypress and things like that. It works with your, with your simpler genes like your leopard. It works with your pastels. It works with your fires. It has this great black pastel and Spot Nose. Still looks great. Red Stripe and Spot Nose. Spot Nose and Yellow Belly. I think it just adds
anything is good.
I think it adds such a great depth of color when you're you're combining it with stuff that I think it's so versatile. Obviously, you've got to have your wits about you if you're going to be doing your pairings. You don't want to put too many of those spot nose complex animals, like spider complex animals together. But yeah, I think you can hedge your bets, and especially if you're going to work with things like, I've got quite a few chocolate spot nose animals now. You work with those, and you can leverage your position a little bit with your Lelix. I think
those Lelix are incredible. They're a game changer for sure.
Yeah,
it is the future. So what? Going into your racks now in your room, what's the most underrated combo or undervalued combo, or well, not combo, but undervalued snake in your racks right now?
Interesting, tricky. There's a few that's.
I'll change my question. Not undervalued, but underrated. Yeah, let's go underrated.
I still think some of the single gene DG combos, or the basic combo DG animals, are underrated. I think there's huge potential still with DG to really build upon some really nice combo animals that we haven't seen, because we had that mad push for double recessives really quickly. So, for example, I've got an absolutely stunning animal in there, incredibly nice animal, and it's a GHI red stripe yellow belly desert ghost, and it's fantastic. It was cheap, it was stunning to look at, and it has so much potential with those genes to work into it. And you just get that into puzzle, or you get that into clown. Okay, it might take a little bit of time, but now you can breed DG clown males. You're probably picking those up for probably maybe €500 or less.
You
take one of those males, get that into that female. You've got 3 really good codoms to work with. You're going to hit your DG, and it's all going to be het clown. So I think there's huge scope to build upon those. But even just in other genes, that would look fantastic as hypo as well. It would look fantastic as puzzle, because no one's seen a GHI red stripe yellow belly DG puzzle. No one's probably seen a GHI red stripe yellow belly puzzle yet. So there's so much to work with from there. But I think that's hugely undervalued, because the price it was criminally cheap for what it was. Like back in the day, I couldn't even buy a banana het pied for what I paid for that. And it's a stunning animal. It's female. She's probably around about 800, 900 grams now. So I'll probably be looking at end of this year, start of next year, pushing on with that breeding.
I was actually I was talking to a guy in the UK there, just on Instagram chats, and I was mentioning how cheap the animals in the UK are, in my opinion. And he actually joked like, just buy from the UK then if it's cheaper. And I was like, yeah, well, but the imports.
That's right. There's a lot of people that are. We're seeing a few people sell up, and a few collections are going up. So I think we will see prices probably come down a little bit more, to be honest. I don't think we're at the very bottom yet. I think there's going to be, this year for me, I think will be a telling year, because I think this is the year where we can see some really established breeders start to throw in the towel a little bit. We've seen those kind of outliers that have maybe been skirting with the idea of slowing down or giving up for a little while. And we've seen the odd name here and there that's gone, oh, actually, they had a really good collection. I'm surprised they're leaving. But I think this year, if it could be a telling year if we start to see some more established breeders, some bigger names, some people with decent, high-end, valuable collections that start to say, hey, actually, do you know what? Now's the time that it's over, sort of thing. And I think that's when we could start to see a drop off in prices, particularly because there's going to be very good animals coming to market, probably cheaper than they should do. But then also, I don't know if people are in a position to buy them. So it could be that those animals just keep coming down and down and down until they find that price point where people are willing to pull the trigger.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it is the market that we chose and that we live in. That's a shame. Why don't you share a snake room horror story for our people watching?
I've not had anything terrible. What I did have over Christmas, which was absolutely dreadful, the worst smell I've ever experienced. So I've got my snake room, and just in the front of that is my rodent breeding as well. So I breed my own rodents. I supplement them. So I'll breed some, and I'll buy some in as well. And it was just before Christmas, and I had filled up all the food, filled up all the water and everything. I was going away for a few days, so made sure everything was ready to go. Absolutely fine, no problem. I turned the hose off, so I filled up the water header on the watering tank with the hose. But the garden is slightly leaking, which I didn't realise. And I hadn't turned the hose off at the wall. So I came back after that 3 days, opened up the snake room, and I was like, it's a bit smelly in here. Like, it's quite pungent. I'm not really sure what that smell is. It was very ratty, and it was a bit dank and a bit damp. And when I looked, all the water in the header tank was empty, and I was like, oh, one of them's obviously pushed a nipple, water's flooded, there's going to be a wet tub somewhere. Yeah. So as I opened up the first 2 tubs, the hose had actually been leaking for 3 days in the header tank, and it had just completely flooded the first 4 tubs. And as I pulled that first tub, just this splash of water and rat and stuff straight over me. I had like an industrial hoover in there, so I was just like sucking some of this water out, sucking all this like wet, horrible substrate out, and emptied the animals into the bin and got rid of those.
Did it get in your mouth?
No, luckily not. I didn't try drinking it. I was a little bit too high for the tub to get me, but yeah, as I opened it, it splashed all down my leg. It went in my crock. It wasn't nice.
Will from RCR on actually Leviathan's podcast, he was sharing a story where he had it was like the top tub had flooded, and the way whenever he opened it, he got hit with.
But the top tub for Will is only 4 V70s high. That's the top tub for Will. He was probably on the ladder at that point as well.
I'll make sure he gets this.
Oh, I'll tell him. Don't worry.
But he was explaining how obviously the mice had died and they had swollen up.
They swell up. They stink.
Hit him in the face, and obviously the reaction is to go like. So he got it all that mucky water in his mouth. It was like
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Oh man! Whenever you mention this horror story, why is it always rat related?
It's always rats. It's always water. I've not had anything terrible in there. I'm quite lucky that the room's heated, the room's insulated, so heat mats go out, thermostats foul. Everything's going to be fine. But you can't escape a floating rat, unfortunately.
Oh man. Okay, let's go the opposite way then, and share the best snake room moment you've had.
Catching clutches never ever gets boring. Whether it's whether it's a simple clutch and a basic clutch, or whether it's the high end stuff where you're hitting the odds and hitting that animal that you had a 1 in 64 or a 1 in 128 of. It never gets boring. Yeah, that for me is what gets me through breeding season. 35 more days, 50 more days, 21 more days, and I get to see this clutch. And that for me is that's the best part of it. Getting to see those eggs, whether you're cutting them or letting them pip or whatever, just getting to see those first heads emerge, and you go, that's the one I've been waiting for, or wow, I didn't expect that was going to be the outcome for this pairing. And just even the surprises where something randomly proves out to be recessive or hair or something along the line somewhere, and you get that nice surprise, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, and then you sex them and they're all male anyway, so back to the drawing board.
Do you cut or a certain day, or do you wait for a pip, or
I generally, my incubator never turns off. It's on 24/7 365, so I pretty much know if I put a clutch in there, they're going to be ready to cut by around about day 57, 58. Sometimes they will hatch earlier on their own, but by day 57, 58, they're pretty much emerging. So I'll normally cut around 55. For me, it's a lot about feel. If I can feel the animal in the egg and it feels pretty like the egg has been absorbed and there's not much liquid left in there, then I'll cut. If it's still quite squishy and quite full and it's full of fluid, then I'll just leave it a few more days.
Yeah,
it's all in patience, isn't it? I mean, we just want to see what we're going to hit and have a look at it and see what we can do.
Yeah. What's the most anticipated clutch for you this year? Then, what are you most looking forward to see?
I've slowed down on a few pairings this year just because I'm ridiculously busy and I'm not going to pair a huge amount just to produce animals. So I'm focusing a lot on DG puzzle stuff this year. I've got a chance of making some more. So I've got a DG het puzzle female and I've got a puzzle het DG female. So one route I'm going with is just to produce some more DG puzzles because I need a male. I have a female growing up, so I'd like a male to push that project forward. But the other option is then putting the hypo puzzle stuff into the DG puzzle stuff and just trying to cut down as much as I can with double hets and things. So hopefully I can produce some like puzzle het DG het hypos and things, or puzzle DG het hypos, and hopefully get some codoms and things in there as well and push that forward. I've got chocolate spot nose hypo het puzzles and things, so getting that into DG puzzle and stuff will be quite nice. So I think that's probably the most anticipated stuff this season or this year maybe. I've had one ovulation so far, which I didn't really expect, so that's always nice. But also DG clowns, I'm still trying to hit some nice combo DG clowns, so I've got chances for OD Pompeii DG clown het G stripes this season.
OD Pompeii DG het G stripes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that will be fun. So I've got an orange dream, yellow belly, black pastel, red stripe, spot nose, G stripe, double het clown DG male breeding a DG clown female.
That sounds insane.
So that'll be a fun project. It should be, for me, I would just love to see some Pompeii DGs. If I can just hit Pompeii DGs, even just Pompeii's, it'd be fantastic. Because that was one of the big ticket items that I first saw that was like, wow, there's serious money people are making here, sort of thing. But having seen the Pompeii DG in the flesh, just making one of those would be incredible. And then het G stripe as well. So that'd be interesting. It'd be quite fun.
Oh, I see. I found it. Yeah, I'm looking at that animal right now. OD black pastel belly spot. When you posted this. Yes, that G stripe is something else.
It's isolating that and getting the clown out of that would be really nice. And just having those genes in that animal was a no-brainer, really. It was like, okay, let's get this working. But that can see so many things. That can see your DG females. It can see your clown females, your DG clowns, your G-stripe clowns.
I'm trying to get all those condoms out of it. That'll be awesome. If you could only work one project for the rest of your life, what would it be?
If I was doing it and I was working one project and it was based on what I wanted to keep, it would probably be along the lines of maybe something like asymmetric puzzle or asymmetric DG puzzle. I think would be really cool.
Okay.
I think that's a really cool route that I think is going to get explored a lot in the future. If I was doing it and it was for sales and it's a business, I think I would just make DG pieds day after day after day, because I think they're absolutely stunning. And I think there's not one person that's ever bought into pieds or bought into the hobby and not bought pieds at some point. And I think you can make some incredible DGs. You're the exception to the rule, but you can make some incredible looking like pied animals and DG animals.
It's a matter of
not
time.
a lot of money.
It's a matter of time for me because I've got some lavender albino stuff that I love. Not some. I've got like a male and a female. I bought a couple as babies. And eventually I will have to put pied into it because I love dreamsicles as well. I love hypo pied stuff. I love ultra male pied stuff. Hypo ultra male pied for me, then it's my movie. But for me, the thing is the pied. You know what I mean? I love them.
I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of pied. But seeing what it does and how people love it, it's you look at
the more I see
people go that route, it's crazy.
And I actually bought a hypo. He's a fire hypo head, double head ultra male pied, and I always said I didn't want to work pied, but I wanted a hypo head ultra male, and I couldn't find anything like in Europe. I couldn't find anything decent at the price that I was willing to spend. So then, like, that was the first thing that came up, and I was like, I'm just gonna take it because I'm not gonna pair it to a pied female, so I'm not gonna make pieds. But now I have it, and it's exactly like it's hypo ultramel pied. It's got hypo ultramel pied. So I'm just looking for the right female.
It keeps your options open. That's the main thing. You've got options and you've got routes to go. It's better to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it.
Yeah. When I start getting rid of my older males, he's going to stay here because I know that eventually I'm going to get a pied female that's, I don't know, head ultramel hypo, or an ultramel or ultramel pied female that's head hypo or something. And I still look at those. I'll be on Morph Market and I'll be searching, and it's just not the right time. But yeah, eventually, I always said I didn't want to work pied, but eventually I will work pied because
I was the opposite. I worked pied fairly heavy for a while, and now I was like, I'm coming away from pied. And the only reason I'm coming away from pied is because I've made some nice pied stuff, I made some nice DG pied stuff, and I just don't know where I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what else am I going to do with it? So that's where I'm sort of coming away from it a little bit. But there's so much to do, like OD yellow belly DG pieds. OD yellow belly fire DG pieds. Those things just look incredible.
Those bright jeans. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, OD yellow belly pied for me when I was first starting out was like the pinnacle snake. Like those OD YB pieds are unbelievable. And you had the emojis on them and the smiley faces and those really rich, deep contrasting sort of oranges.
And then we saw that was stunning. The DG pied version, and it was like,
like, wow.
Yeah. Very good. All right. I don't want to drag this on for too much longer, so let's start getting things wrapped up. What's your best snake room pro tip?
I've got two. Number one, from a like an equipment standpoint sort of thing, make sure you have a hose point in there. Like, make sure you can get that hose round to every tub that you want to go to, because there's nothing worse than having to carry water bowls over and keep taking everything back to a sink or anything. Get yourself a hose point installed and make sure you can get everywhere, which is really easy. Number two, from like a health perspective and just overall husbandry care thing, really good airflow. Everyone really worries about heat and temperatures and this and that and how damp is my substrate, is it too dry? No one ever thinks about airflow. Airflow is one of the biggest things that people overlook. Make sure that fresh air is being pulled in, that dirty air is being pulled out, and it's constantly circling, because this is where the bacteria is coming from. It's keep that air fresh, keep it moving, keep it fresh. You don't want stale, stagnant air sitting around the back of cages. You can buy like air blowers on Amazon for like 25-30 pounds. Stick them under the bottom of your racks, and they just constantly blow air up and around, circulate it out. You think you've got these tubs that are enclosed. There's not a huge amount of ventilation in some of them. That air is going to get heavy. It's going to get claggy. It's going to start stinking. Keep that air moving. Keep that extraction going out. Keep that fresh draw coming in. I think that's huge.
I love it. I love that. And yeah, that is one thing that people never really talk about. It's funny, I had Gavin on here, and he mentioned the exact same thing. So
I think it's one of the most overlooked issues. And I think one of the other things which is always an issue that is quite contentious is heat. I think we keep these animals too hot.
Okay. It's funny enough, this year I decided not to heat my room. So I have like a portable heater here. It's not a big room. I have a portable heater, and I used it basically. I had it programmed on a thermostat to kick on if the temperature got below 18.
Yeah.
And I used it a couple nights at the start of the winter, but then I decided, now, you know what? I'm going to turn it off completely. And this room was going as low as 14 degrees, and I was still finding snakes in the cold side.
Yeah, I think we keep the species too hot. We don't give them a huge area. Let's be honest, they don't have a huge area. And I think if one side of that area is 34 degrees, and it's that's going to have an impact. I experimented with it a couple of years back. I was getting a lot of slugs. And some sort of people were like, it could just be one of these things. And it's actually Scotty said to me, he's convinced that slugs is heat, whether that's heat from the female while they're ovulating or building, or whether that's heat to the male because you're basically cooking the juice out of them essentially. So I experimented. I dropped everything.
I thought that was a nose bag. You have to keep your males cooler.
Yeah. I experimented. I dropped everything down. I dropped all Rex down by 3 degrees. I went down to 31 degrees across everything, and slugs were almost non-existent. I might have had, I was getting clutches of slugs previously, and I was like, I'd get eight eggs, and 7 of them would be slugs. And I think last year I ended up having maybe 3 or 4 slugs across the whole breeding season.
Okay. Yeah, 34 seems like a lot. Yeah, I like to keep mine at between 30, 32 max.
Yeah, I dropped it right down and just went to 31 across the board, and it's been absolutely fine. I've not seen any issues. I've not seen any snakes that are more towards the hot side all the time. I think it gives them a better firming regulation because they have that access to decent quality heat still, but they can get away from it when they want to. Rather than the hot end being 34 and the cool end being 27, 28 because it's so warm. Yeah, it's now the cold end's 30. The hot end's 31 and the cold end's 23, 24. So that's a lot more. I wouldn't want to be stuck in a tub at 27, 28 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people have to realize one thing: like these animals, yes, they're from Africa, where temperature does get, 35 degrees, 36 more easily during the day for a long period of time. But remember, you're not seeing these snakes out during the day.
But you also have a look at like some of the winter temperatures in Togo. It drops down to 5-10 degrees.
They are nocturnal animals for a reason, and even non-nocturnal animals like wild snakes that we would have here in Portugal, for example. Like now is the time to find them during the day. If you go out in the summer heat, you can't find a single snake out there. Yeah, they're all hiding from the heat. So
it's I don't know if anyone's followed Corey Woods' page, and for years he posts it up every single season. He has a 3-day period where he completely shuts power off in the winter to his snake building, and it all drops down to 55 Fahrenheit. Every single animal drops down. And it's these things they're not going to affect the animal short term because ball pythons are one of the most hardy species going. It takes a lot to damage a ball python. But he had a storm one winter. It cut all the power out. They didn't get power restored for 3 days, and he had his most successful season he's ever had. And so year after year after year, at exactly the same time, he cuts the power off for 3 days, and all the females, it just triggers them, and he gets fantastic production from them and big healthy clutches still.
Yeah, and that's what I said. For me, it was the coming into my room, 14 degrees, and finding snakes up against the cold side. Like you're touching them and they're freezing, and yet they're there, like as they choose to be. Do you know what I mean? I would even at the start, like the first time I saw it, I think it was one of my males. I actually picked him up. I put him on the warm side, and I went about my business. I came back later. He was in the cold side again, and the warm side wasn't hot. It was like 30 or not 30, 29, 30 degrees. You know what I mean? So he was actively choosing to be on the cold side. So I was like, well, if he likes it, then
leave him there.
You against him.
Yeah, the animals will tell you when something's wrong. The animals will let you know when it's too hot, they'll be at the front of the tub. You know, when it's too cold, they'll be at the back of the tub. When there's something going on, if it's too dry, they're going to shed bad. You know, learn from the animal.
Yeah. All right. So we're at an hour and a half, but I want to get these in very quickly. These are like hot fire questions. Very quick thing. This is the first time I'm doing this, so just thought to, try something different. Okay, let's go. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee. Italian or French food?
French.
Fine dining or good grub?
Good grub.
Hell yeah. Beer or wine?
Beer. But I love a glass of red wine.
What kind of beer?
At the moment, I really like Jeremy Clarkson's beer, Hawkstone Lager. That's a really good beer. If you get to try it, that's really, really nice. So yeah, I've been drinking that at the moment. But at the moment, I'm drinking these craft beers. This is some German beer, I think, but it's a hazelnut stout, which is really nice.
Cool. Night out or night in?
I'm old now. Night in.
Yeah. Favorite food?
Probably a curry.
Ooh, I miss those, UK takeaways. That's one thing I miss the most about the UK is those Friday night takeaways, the Chinese, the Indian, those kebabs. Oh, I miss it all.
And now you get is like pastel donadas and things.
Yeah, that pastel donata all day, every day.
Missing out.
Favorite drink?
Probably a nice ice cold Coke.
Oh, okay. Didn't see that one coming.
if it's not a beer, probably like a Coke or something.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I'll take it. Yeah, that's it. All I have. Nomination time. We come to the end of the episode. I basically ask my guests to nominate the next person to be on the show. Who we got?
Who do I think would make a good guest? Where do you want to be? You want to stay in the UK or?
Europe. European Union.
Europe.
No, that's right. Okay. Not European Union. European.
Yeah, we're out of that now. So
that includes UK. So
okay.
European continent.
Do you know what? I think would be a really good guest to talk to. And if you can get him to do it, he is a wealth of knowledge, very, very experienced, and has got some really good viewpoints and information and statistics based on years and years of breeding. But I think Scott would be a fantastic guest.
Your business partner, Scott?
Yeah, Scott Wilkinson Reptiles. I think if you can convince him to do it and get him on, he's got so much information, so much knowledge. He's a numbers guy, he's a data guy. He's tracked every single breeding. He's still got all the records of everything he's ever done for the last 10, 15 years of breeding. It's all on an Excel spreadsheet that he built himself, and he can look back and see. He can tell you his average eggs per clutch, his average slugs per year and things. And the way his mind works and the way that he interprets things and maximizes that to keep things moving along and implement procedures, I think it's quite fascinating. There's always something to learn from Scott.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, that's everything. That's all I've got for today.
It's been a pleasure, man. I've enjoyed it greatly.
Yeah,
I'm glad I haven't got to sit here and edit it, so this is lovely.
But yeah, I mean, I want to thank you for taking the time.
Anytime, no problem at all.
To come on the show and stuff. It's been quite fun. And yeah, maybe we'll see each other at one of these shows. I actually saw you at Ham in 2024.
Okay.
And I saw you and I knew who you were, but you know what? I got intimidated and I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I've got one of those faces.
You were actually busy. You were actually like, I looked at you and I could tell that you were busy. So I was like, I should say something anyway. But then like you're so tall in real life.
At Ham it is busy, but yeah, I've always got time to speak to people. So yeah, if you do see me and we bump into each other, yeah, make sure I say hello and things. And
I definitely will.
If I'm not in the show, I'll be in the Cafe del Sol having a beer and eating some food. So
hell yeah. I'm trying to get out to Ham actually this year. Not Ham, Houghton this year. Because I've been to Ham, I haven't been to Houghton, so I want to check it out.
I like Houghton. Houghton's very relaxed.
Yeah.
It's not as,
and I want to do it because I don't like cold.
It's not as crazy busy and as like fast paced as Ham. So
yeah,
Houghton's a nice show. It's a bit more relaxed, a bit more chilled, and yeah, you can always have a night out in Amsterdam as well, which is 30 minutes away.
Yeah, I might try and stay away from that, to be honest. Crazy stuff. But anyway, here again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, that's it, man.
Nice. It's been my pleasure. It's absolutely great to be back on a podcast again. I've really enjoyed it, and
especially on the relaxed side.
Yeah. I just look forward to not knowing that I've got to edit it and release it and deal with it all. It's blissfully peaceful this side of the camera.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna take you off the screen and say goodbye to these lovely people.
Yeah, of course, no problem at all.
If you want
Thanks for having me, guys. See you soon.
Take it easy, and we'll speak again soon, hopefully.
No problem.
All right, guys, and that's a wrap. A big thank you to Tom for coming on and sharing so much valuable information with us. Yeah, I hope you guys had a nice time. I hope you guys took in some valuable information. You learned something new. Keep the positivity up, guys. This is a community that we're trying to build within Europe, and that's what it's all about. No bickering, no drama. Tom has his own podcast. I have a podcast. We're not competitors. We're not competition. It's just a bunch of guys that want to hang out and talk snakes. There's no bad blood between anyone. So yeah, it's great. Say no to the drama. But yeah, guys, so if you've enjoyed this episode, do me a big favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with another fellow breeder or keeper. We're building this community within Europe together, and every bit of support helps us to keep the passion alive. You can find more of my work at Pappy's Premium Pythons on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Morph Market, all the usual jazz. Big shout out to Pro Herper for sponsoring the podcast. Until the next time, stay focused on the passion and keep those projects moving. Pappy